Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest, Brandy Alexander. Brandy loves the challenge of teaching young minds. She is very excited that her writing continues to take her to new places. Who knows where the next creative adventure will lead? Growing up in an isolated area of the Texas Gulf Coast, Brandy Alexander found adventure, entertainment, and friendship within the pages of her many books. When she wasn't swimming, exploring, or pretending to be a teacher, she spent days at a time lost in the fictional world of religious paranormal fantasy. Having spent so many years as a voracious reader, she has been heavily influenced by a variety of writers. All right, welcome to the show, Brandy.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here.
And I like to start off by, this show actually started with my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And we have experienced just about every situation and then some. So I'd like to start off by asking you if you have a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
I've experienced a lot of different things, and I could probably tell a lot of stories, but I think the part of my life that was the largest hurdle was probably when my father passed. I lost my father to cancer, and then about a year later, I had my son. And there was a lot of time period in there where, it was hard to change what I thought the future held for me. My dreams of growing up and my father being there for me on my wedding day and, meeting his grandson and teaching him all the things that he wanted to. And so, I began to realize, I think at that point, that no matter what our plans are, no matter what we think we need to have in life, that may not always be what God has in mind. That may not be what our future holds for us. And I think I just began to really assess myself and see, what is it in life that I want to do that I haven't done. Time is passing, and I don't want to just be gone one day and there was nothing left of me behind. And right. I have dreamt my entire life of writing a book. It was something that I'd wanted to do since I first started reading. And I used to think, one day I want to tell a story that is as captivating as I feel right now. And so over the years, I probably started several, and I just never felt that connection. But after I lost my dad, I began to sort of think about all the TV shows you watch, the ghost adventures and the, all these different supernatural thoughts. And I began to wonder what it would be like to intermingle with the ghosts and intermingle with the spirits. And so this sort of idea came to my mind. And before long, I wrote my first book. I lived up to my first major dream of my life. Or one of my major dreams in my life, not my first, but it changed my life. And so right now I can't imagine not writing. I want to just keep writing and keep writing and keep writing. It's exciting.
Yes, that's beautiful. And it is something that if you're a writer, it tends to be that you have these books and you think, okay, well, maybe this one, maybe that one, but you'll kind of know when it's the one or more than one that you end up
Yes.
doing. And your topic is very interesting. So I'd love to hear more about your book and the topic.
The title, here it is. I have a copy of it right here, and I have it in hardback and paperback. Genesis, a paranormal alliance destined to fight the powers of darkness. Completely fictional story. I just began to imagine, there's this guy who can see the spirit world. He can see the angels and the spirits, and come to find out demons. And his brother, along with some of his best friends that he's met along the way, are spirits themselves, and they live with him. And they're sort of the comedy of the book. It can get serious, and so they bring that comic relief. And they together have got to figure out where these demons are coming from, why they're there. They seem to have some kind of nefarious plan, and then how to get rid of them. And along the way, he sort of just follows the path and comes to find, faith in himself and his friends and God. And I don't know. It just felt like the right story to tell. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It's just this big save the world thriller. But at the same time, there's a lot of connections that I made to the characters and the story itself.
Now, what made you go toward that as far as that topic? What was it? Did you have experiences in your own life with all that kind of stuff, or did it just come to you? Okay.
What's kind of funny is that as much as I have read a lot of Christian books and spiritual books, I really tended, especially growing up, to stick to romances, to stick to adventures, to stick to very supernatural. I liked anything that wasn't based in reality. If it was reality, it's because we lived reality. I didn't want to live it. I wanted to read about it. So I would have thought that, I might have even gone more of the supernatural romance. But after my father passed, I began to imagine what it would be like to be able to talk to his spirit, or to be able to interact with a spirit. And I think that just sort of started the ball rolling. And then from that point, I just began to imagine, like, what kind of story hasn't been told 1,000 times. Right. And I didn't want something where you're going to pick it up and you know how it's going to end. I want that to constantly be, how are they going to fix it? How's it going to end? What's going to happen? And I really do feel like I tackled that in this book. Everyone I've spoken with just gives me really good feedback.
Nice. Yeah, that's something that's really interesting. Now, I'd love to hear, like, maybe an example of more about, like, maybe your favorite chapter in that book.
There's so many things that happen in that book, and there are literal surprises all the way to the very last page. But I think that the point in the book that I was the most excited to write, and I also probably found, I don't want to say difficult, but it was very challenging, because it's a fight scene, and it's the first time that there's a real physical interaction between the spirit world and the human world. And I approached it, and what's so cool is that I've had people who have read it who told me this before without even me speaking to them, but I approached it almost like a movie camera. And you can see what's happening in the fight. And as it turns, you would see each character. And I think that one was a really enjoyable scene, because it's that first time where I feel like you want to stand up and just, get them. And those are the kind of books that I enjoy the most, where you almost want to scream out loud. You're angry at the character, or you're excited for the character. And I think this book really does that. I enjoy reading it myself. Sometimes I'll start to look for something, and next thing you know, I'm engulfed in my own story.
Yes. I know I was also a reader from a young age, and I can remember reading books where I wasn't the type of reader that you read and you hear yourself reading in your mind. I don't know. I wasn't like that. Like, literally, I'd read a book, and once I got into it, it was like I was in the book. I was in the movie. I was, like, so experiencing it. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, 4 hours passed or whatever it was.
I've lost myself in a book so much before I forget what room I'm in. I flash back when I open my eyes, and you're like, oh yeah, I was sitting here doing this for that. Yeah.
Yes. And it's just a wonderful thing, because I think especially now we've lost the art of reading for a lot of people. I have my book on audio, and everybody has the audio books, but there's something about literally picking up a physical book that's different. That's,
Tangible.
yes. And you could just go relax and read a book, get some sunshine and read a book or whatever. And I think a time like this where we have some more quiet times than maybe we want, it gives us that opportunity to get back to the books on our list that we never have time to read. And also
Yeah.
an escape. It's, well, we can't, and depending on where you live, you can or can't go to the movie theaters or whatever. So this is like another way, and it's something different, and it helps you with your mind as well. So there is something that I've found. I also lost my father, similar to you. He passed away 6 months before my youngest son was born. And so it was really a hard thing. And I can remember family and friends said, well, he's always watching over you and he's always with you. And I said, he sees everything. And we all started laughing. So I better be better. I better be on my best behavior. And
You start imagining everything around you.
Exactly. And so there is something, though, that talking with other people that work in hospice and losing some other relatives, grandparents, and this and that as well, that there's a point when a person crosses over that they start seeing the people they used to know that are already on the other side, and they start talking to them. And it's something that has shown up in every culture, every religion, every place on the planet. So and that to me is like, oh, there's something beyond this. I don't have a doubt or a question in that. And so that's just one of those things.
I was raised in a very strong Christian home, and I do believe that there's a life on the other side, that we're not just gone.
Right.
And there's so many different people that will argue what that might be, to what extent. I had fun with it in the book, creating this fictional world, but I do believe that there is more there. And even though my book, it's hard to write about angels and demons and ghosts without your faith seeping in. But I think that in this book, there's something that everyone can connect to, no matter who they are, whether you believe in a higher power, whether, who it might be. But it's faith, no matter who it is, you have to have faith, even if it's just faith in your friends or faith in yourself. Because, you're not going to get anywhere in life if you don't put your faith out there for, to succeed. You have to, I believe. And it's sort of the common theme, I think, in this book is that no matter what, they have to have faith.
Yes, that is so good. Now, I'd love to hear more about like everything else that you do. So you wrote the book, and what else are you doing in your life with the book? Are you doing like a book tour with this crazy time, or?
Well, trying to get it off the ground. This is my first book, and so there's a lot of hurdles, a lot of things that I'm learning along the way. I would absolutely love to talk to somebody who would be an agent, someone who could really help me push this book to make the right moves, go the right places. I'm doing everything that I can, though, on my own, trying to figure it out one step at a time. I do plan on this being an entire series. And so I've spent this past summer writing the sequel. So now I get to start on that journey and begin book number 2. I don't know how far it will go yet, but I do have plans for it to go for a while. So I'm having a lot of fun with these particular characters. And I think there's a lot of stuff I can do with it.
Yes. Now, how long did it take you to write the book?
I think from start to finish, probably a couple of months. Being a teacher, you get a lot more time to yourself at some points in your life. You make up for it during the school year. That's for sure. But I'm able to, on an average, write about a chapter every day and a half. Wow. So, I give myself a break every week, 1 or 2 days here or there. But if I just kind of kept at it, and most of I think it's been around 32 chapters, 34 chapters is usually what I plan out. So it takes me a little while, a couple of months. So it wasn't too bad as long as I just stuck with it and worked out solid all day. But I have fun. I went on vacation recently, and I'm sitting on the beach, literally with my computer in my lap and a drink in my hand and the ocean in front of me. And someone walked by and said, "You're crazy. You're doing work on the beach." And I was like, "This is fun. I'm actually relaxing. There's no distractions, nobody to talk to me. I'm enjoying myself. This is
Yeah.
what I actually want to do. I mean, my dream is to retire from teaching eventually and just travel and write full time. I would love that.
Mm, yes, yes, yes. And that's something. Now, what do you teach? What subject or grades
I
or?
lucked out. I got to do things that I absolutely love. I teach art and I teach theater arts. I teach both. I
Mm,
have taught English, reading, language arts in the past, and I've done a lot of work with different subjects. But I love the arts. They're just so much fun. No matter what it is, I feel like I'm just very creative. Whether it's
mm.
cooking or sewing or designing or decorating or painting or writing, as long as my right brain is just chugging along, I'm good.
Yes. Wow, that's great. So that's something, teaching, that is your toughest audience ever. If you can get through teaching your class, especially young kids. I was a teacher too, for many years, and I did Montessori and Waldorf, and so it was a little different. But
I worked
those
there once.
those first graders are really a tough audience. Boy, I tell you, they'll tell you anything and they don't hold back. They will tell you exactly what's wrong or what you forgot. And
All the
it
stories over the
yes,
years. Yes,
yes,
I've taught all
yes.
the way from kindergarten through actually pre-K all the way up through high school. So yeah, it's they will do things and say things that you are not expecting at all.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
sometimes they're very insightful. They'll say something and it's just like, wow, I can't
Yes.
believe that he said that.
Mhm. Definitely. What is that saying? Um, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And then the other half of that is, and when the teacher is ready, the student will appear.
Right.
Those little students, they'll teach us so much
Can I give
about
a shout out
life.
to my school? I told
Oh,
the kids.
yes, please.
All right, Elkhart. I just had Elkhart High School,
All
Elkhart Middle School.
right.
Sorry, my son just graduated. I've been saying high school for the past 3 weeks. But my just want to give a shout out there to my kids. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. And yes, this is so important for parents listening in. What do you suggest to get your kids to read, to get them past reading as an assignment and to really grow the love of reading?
I've personally, for me, I think you just have to find the right book. There has to
Mhm,
be something of interest, something that's going to grab them. And for every kid, it might be different. One person might want to learn how to build a boat, and another person may want to read about magical kingdoms.
mhm.
But there's something out there that's going to pique the curiosity. And if you can get the right book and you get them excited about reading, you make them love what they're reading, then they want to read another one, and they want to read another
Yes,
one.
yes.
I firmly believe that when the Harry Potter series came out, it rejuvenated the reading. I mean, it was kids that didn't even never wanted to pick up a
Mhm.
book, suddenly
Right.
wanted to find every book they could that was similar to that book just because.
Mhm.
So I think it just takes that one genius book that's perfect for that person, and the next thing you know, they can't get enough of it.
Oh, yes, that's so true. And there's something to, even as an adult, I have 6 children. They're all grown now. And I adopted 3 and so they're this blended incredible family. And one of the things, because I always read and we had like a reading time together when they were little and all this, it's something that they still read.
Yeah.
And, in fact, I told them I'm doing an audiobook for Audible, and they said, "Wow, is that like for people that are blind?" And
No one's ever heard of that.
it wasn't even like a concept that you could listen to a book, and now they all listen to the Audible too. But it wasn't really like a concept to them because they read so much, and so that's really been a gift for sure. And especially during this time now, are you doing online school as a teacher or in class?
We did last year, the whole year, but right now we've been in class. I've got a couple students who are out sick, so when they go long term, I'll put them in the Google Classroom. But
Oh,
other than that, we've been doing it in the class. So, which
yeah,
is much easier for art, I gotta say.
of course. Right.
Yeah, art and theater, you can only do so many assignments online before you start
Mhm,
needing to be in person. So
mhm.
I was really, really happy to be able to see my kids again and to just be in the room with them again.
Yes, now I have a couple adult kids home that are doing the online college, and
That's
now,
mine in
yeah,
here.
and I have one that actually the college is open, so they get to go, but now they just announced that in the spring they may have to close again.
Oh
So
no.
I'm like, and we'll be back to on demand or online or whatever. And
Right.
so it's awesome, but it's difficult for children and parents. What advice do you have for children and parents listening in as far as that goes? As far as dealing with, what sometimes we're home and we've got to do the school online. Maybe, something happened and they have to shut down for a couple weeks or whatever, and then we're back. And what helps with that, those kind of crazy transitions that are not normal?
I think having as many things you can rely on as possible, certain things that you do a certain time of day, certain place, because when you don't know where anything's going, when you don't know what tomorrow holds or what's going to happen, if you know that, you got a regular schedule as much as you possibly can, I think that helps, especially younger kids. They know what time to eat, they know what time to go to bed, what time to take a bath. Those things are always part of it. But when you lose knowing that tomorrow you're going to school for sure, or that you're going to see your friends next week, or that you're going to be able to have a birthday party and invite anyone, I think that that can start getting kids down. But being able to rely on knowing that, hey, I'm always going to have this, I'm always going to have that, can help them overlook some of that, can help them get through.
That's true. Now, was there like a moral to your book story? Or
Well, like I said, faith is a theme throughout that book. And I guess if there's a moral at all, it's just that, if you're going to make it in life, if you're going to get anywhere, if you're going to be able to achieve your dreams, even the smallest ones, and sometimes it's just getting through your day. You got to have faith that, hey, my loved one's at home and make me dinner, or faith that at the end of this week, here's a weird faith, but my favorite TV show is coming out finally again. Just things you can look forward to, because if you get held down by all the problems you're having and all the work and all the money and all the issues and relationships, and you stop looking for the fun in life, you stop looking for those little things to look forward to, and sometimes that's all it is. You just know you're going to go home and cook your very favorite meal, or you are excited about someone calling on the phone tonight because you want to hear how their date went. Whatever it is, you got to find what those moments are, or sitting down with your favorite book, carving out that me time for just a little while so that you have something to look forward to. And that way, the hard stuff, maybe let go of it a little bit.
Yes, that's so good. So important. And going back now, if you could go back to when you were a young girl, what advice would you give yourself?
Professionally, you think, or
whatever, that you would just like, I should have told myself, or if I could go back and just talk to me at 10, what little bit of advice would I give me?
Not to take everything to heart. I went through a lot, I think, through my junior high years. I struggled with being accepted by my peers. I was very introverted, and I think those few times when I put myself out there, it wasn't responded to well, and so it just drew me further and further inside. And it wasn't until I really thank God for my family, for both God and my family, because they got me through some really hard times in life. But I think now I look back at that, I went through that so that I would be who I am now, because without that, that's who I am. If I could go back and talk to myself, though, it would be not to take so many things to heart, to let things go, to not worry about what everyone else thought about you, but to do what you like because you like doing it. I find now that to be a very attractive quality in friends and people that I know, is just them being sure of themselves and what they like, and not letting somebody else's thoughts or viewpoints mar their own, to stand behind them and like who they are.
Yeah, that's so important. And for myself, I grew up in an area where I had a lot of elders. I mean, like 70, 80, 90-year-old people, that they were around me a lot, and they were my friends too. And we'd have them for Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, because nobody, their family wasn't around or whatever. And so that was kind of that they were like my adopted grandparents. And one thing about them, They were all well-to-do. They had this beautiful life. They had these incredible stories of what they went through. Some of them went through the pandemic flu, believe it or not. They were little kids at the time, but they went through it. And you hear all these stories, and it was so beautiful because they had gotten to the point in their life where they didn't give this flying duck about anything, other people's opinions, and they valued our friendship. But it wasn't about what you wore or what you looked like, or, you know, whatever it was about who you're being and all you're doing. It was, and they were really honest about where they were at, and they just lived and loved fully. And those were my mentors in life. And I think it's so important that at a young age, if our kids can hear this with a lot of pressure at school and in the media to be something that's not even realistic.
Yeah. That they see something that's airbrushed or, you know, pinched in the back and held together, and then they think that that's the way it's supposed to fit everybody, and in reality it doesn't even fit the model like that.
I
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I have people I see that they're already beautiful and perfect, and they airbrush so much of it. Is that a person or is that a cartoon?
You know, I get so tickled too, and it's amazing how much an inner beauty will shine on the outside, but the
Right.
same goes for an inward ugliness. That, you
Mhm.
know, the physical side can be absolutely stunning, but you get to know them for a while, and suddenly they're just not attractive. You start to see all the little things that just irritate you because they don't have a good personality. You know, but
Yeah.
you get around somebody who may be physically what people might say flawed, but you don't even see that because all you see is this sparkly, vibrant, happy,
Mm.
joyous, self assured person. And
Yeah.
it goes so much further in life.
Mhm, mhm. That's true, because then if you're coming from an ugly place, I don't know, gossip or saying mean things about other people, whatever, it's ugly. And then people know, well, I'm not gonna tell that person anything because she's gonna tell, or he's gonna tell everybody else, or it's a drama king and queen
Hmm.
situation. And it's not something you really want. And it's important. I know Tony Robbins says we're the direct reflection of our peer group. And so that's important too, to make sure that we surround ourselves with good books, with good friends, mentors. Like, I was this young girl and I had these incredible older mentors that I really honored their wisdom. And
Right.
you know what I mean? And they were my guy. I was so sad over the years, you know, as you lose people, because they contributed so much. They were so much a part of my life, and I made sure my kids got to spend a lot of time with them too, because they had more wisdom than I could give them. And it was just
Yeah.
something important. I wanted them to have that.
Growing up, the church I attended, we spent a lot of time at some of the older age homes. And I can remember as a kid, some of my favorite things to do was just talk to them because the stories they could tell, they were so much more interesting than anybody my age, you know. And you would find out, you know, where were you at on when Pearl Harbor happened? Where were
Yeah,
you at when, you know, all these different life events? And it gives you a different viewpoint. It's no longer something in the history book that's just
right.
read about, but this happened to someone and this was what they went through and how they felt and how it affected their lives and their future. And you start to
Mhm.
see that like what you're doing will be that someday for another person, you know, and another 50, 80, 60, whatever, really badly ordered there. But whenever, you know, you pass into these older ages, your stories are going to be doing this for someone else. Suddenly our experiences on 9/11 or our experiences through COVID or, you know, whatever, they're going to want to hear what that's like because otherwise it's just in history.
Mm. Yes, that's so true. And we are coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd love for you to share one more time about your book and where people can get it to read.
Would love to.
Uh,
The book, hold this side, is Genesis, a Paranormal Alliance Destined to Fight the Powers of Darkness. And you can find this anywhere they sell books right now. Amazon has it on sale. Walmart has it on sale. Target, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, just about any place you want to find it, you can look for it, or you can look for it on my website, brandyalexanderbooks.com or brandyalexanderbooks@yahoo.com.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again for being a special guest on the show, Brandy. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. I love this. Have a good night.
You too. In December of 2017,
I lost my house, my car, and my cat due to a fire. It sounds like a country music song, but that was my reality, and yet another rock bottom situation after a long period of doing really well. I had just finalized a divorce, purchased a new car, and moved into a house that I bought for myself and one of my kids to live in while she went to college. I put all my savings into it, closed escrow on November 3rd, and spent some time making it beautiful, more for my kid than for myself. I was cash poor but proud to finally get into a nice home again. A month later, I had a late meeting with a client and was then called to check on an issue with a vacation rental cabin I was running up in the hills. I was frustrated with the delay, thinking, I'm so tired and I've been working so hard, I just want to go home to my new place and sleep. Later, I realized that delay was a protection, and I was grateful for the soul reroute, even if it was initially beyond my understanding. As I drove back, I saw the flames of the huge Thomas fire in Ventura that ended up burning for close to a month and spread over 280,000 acres. The hills near my house were burning. 20-foot flames leapt into the air, which was thick with choking black smoke and soot. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw the extent of the fire. As I got closer, I was told that I had to evacuate my home. I rescued my cat and got a few things together, but the power was already out, so I grabbed paperwork and pictures, anything I could shove into a box in the dark. Some of my neighbors were in denial, refusing to leave until the firefighters came through, issuing mandatory evacuations. They thought it was a little fire over in the hills. They hadn't been on my drive home. They didn't know it was one of the biggest fires in California history and the largest I'd ever seen in my life. I drove back to the little prefab mobile home that I was renting out through a vacation rental service. One of the units was empty, but it wasn't finished. It had a toilet and a kitchen, but it didn't have a shower or many of the other things it needed to make it livable. It was maybe 400 square feet, and that's where I unloaded all the boxes of stuff that were now my only earthly possessions. The next day, one of my friends came over to help me, and when she opened the door, the cat I had rescued ran out the door. She was so freaked out by the move that she just bolted and never came back. We couldn't find her, even with a microchip. Shortly after that, my car was totaled in an accident, and my descent to rock bottom was complete. By this time, I was able to get back into action in record time, using a formula I had learned from all the other waves in life. The Boots Formula. I've had an interesting life. It hasn't been easy, but I'm not complaining, and I'm not a victim. I've had a lot of rock bottoms, a lot of downs, but a lot of ups as well. I mean, how many 10-year-olds get to meet the president? I'll tell you that story later in the book. Through it all, I had to learn how to go from rock bottom to rock solid. I had to look back at what I've done and what I still do to get out of that place and back into life. I asked myself, what has helped me walk through the bottom faster and still be who I want to be, without letting it totally screw up my life? What did I do last time, and how did I do it? What type of mindset did I need to have? Who did I need to reach out to? Who did I need to be? I saw the patterns in all the times I've had to do that, and in how I've seen my friends and clients get through their rock bottom moments as well. Ultimately, I came up with the Boots Formula, a simple yet powerful method of redirecting your thoughts and actions. The Boots Formula will teach you the skills you need to quickly dissolve limiting beliefs and get back into action. In simple language, Boots will grab your problem by the bra straps and help you get back into action in any situation. Sound like something you can use? Let's take a look at each letter. B is for being. The first letter of the Boots formula is B, which stands for being. At one point in my life, I decided this is who I'm being in all that I'm doing. When shift has hit the fan, you realize this is messy, and you just have to roll up your sleeves. Maybe you have other people to help you, but maybe you don't. Either way, you have to be the one in command. You have to decide who you're being and what you're doing. Whether you're starting over or just hoping to make it through, you have to ask yourself, how am I going to show up through this? Who are you going to be as you're walking your puppies or cleaning up the mess? Who are you going to be while you're reorganizing your life and changing your living situation? If you're being who you really are, then you won't be in that bad situation for long. This first letter in the Boots formula, B for being, shows up in how you're speaking, having fun with family and friends, or helping a client. Who you choose to be while doing all the things you're required to do as you move from rock bottom back into action makes all the difference. But why is this so important? Because the way you show up and the energy that comes from you will help attract better things in your life. When we're able to retrain our minds to focus on the positives, we're able to enjoy more of life, even while we're rebuilding and rebooting. We're going to starve those negative thoughts, not feeding them with our attention, time, or energy. When you focus on the good parts of your life, those things that you can be grateful for in this moment, that energy will bring even more good things your way. Don't get me wrong. You still have to take the action steps to get out of the negative, and you're going to have times in your life when you're just going to have to do whatever's in front of you. It may not be the prettiest thing, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes, when you're focusing on getting out of a hole, it feels like you're buried in your own self-centric thinking. But when you get out of that mindset and put down your problem for a moment, it clears the way for a solution. One way to do this is to help someone less fortunate than you. Volunteering with your community, religious organization, school, or work, which allows you to fully show up, contribute, and utilize your unique talents. When you're using your flow, you're not thinking about the problem at hand. You're not showing up for approval. You're just being your best self. If you're showing up and being fully present, people will see your true essence and respond to that. Having that respite will open a floodgate of ideas and give you the resources to resolve any difficult situation you find yourself in. This first letter is a reminder to stay in your being and live your truth. It will help you stay grounded and centered when things are in a state of change and chaos. The truth is that there's often form, freedom, and order even in the center of a storm. The first O is for orientation. The next letter in the Boots formula stands for orientation. As you are living through your rock bottom moment, you need to know that it's not better than it is and it's not worse than it is. It just is what it is. Assessing your current orientation is a really big action step in the Boots process. Discovering orientation is part of the overall change you may be in, and it will help you find some surprisingly simple solutions. In this case, we're referring to a place. Where do you find yourself on the map of your life? Within this stage, you'll also acknowledge where you were in the past and where you want to be. Once you know where here is, you can answer, how did I get here? And where do I want to go from here? Assessing your orientation also means considering your options and saying, I am here on the map, and I want to go over there. You need to know where you are in order to think about how to take the next step. If you want to go from California to New York, you first have to know you're starting from California. You then have to know that to get there, I can walk, I can swim, I can jog, I can take a flight, or I can take a bike. I can take a bus, or I can take a train. You use your rock bottom to set the direction for your life beyond this rock bottom situation. It's important that you are really honest about where you are in this situation. You can't lie because you don't want to give up your personal responsibility. You have to own every part of this and realize it could be worse. It could be better, but this is it. If you aren't able to be honest about where you're starting from, you won't be able to clearly see where you want to go or how to get there. If you're not realistic about that first point of orientation, it's almost impossible to get out of your rock bottom moment. At the very least, it will take a hell of a lot longer. A lot of people have a hard time accepting the truth of where they are. They might think, oh, I'm kind of here, but I wish I was there. No, this is where you are. This is where you're starting from. That may be where you want to go, but you won't get there if you don't know where you are on the map. The last piece of orientation is owning it. You are responsible for where you are now. The minute you start blaming people or situations outside of yourself, it was my mother's fault, my brother's fault, the weather's fault. Guess who's in control of your life? Everyone but you. When you own your situation, however, you're taking back your power. Damn, yes, I spent that money, or oops, I did trash the credit card, but I'm not going to blame Macy's or Nordstrom. I'm just going to have to do something different here. Nobody else gets to be in charge of your life. From here on, you own it. Once you've gone through the orientation process, you'll get a grounding sense of peace and clarity, and you'll be able to acknowledge just how far you've already traveled. Give yourself some credit. Admit that you may have messed up in one area, but also look at the good parts of where you are. Once you have to answer to, how the hell did this happen to me? Your next question is probably, how can I ever unravel this mess and get back into action? The next letter of Boots will help you answer that. The second O is for order of operations. The third step of the Boots formula is finding the order of operations. When you're in a rock bottom moment, there are certain steps you know you need to take to get out of it, and you need to complete those steps in a certain order, which will be different depending on what you're going through. Throughout the book, I'll show you these steps in other specific rock bottom situations. As you learn the steps for yourself, you'll become adept at facing any other rock bottom you may find yourself in. In the military, they train people to focus on one thing, find and execute the solution, then move on to the next thing and the next. If you complete tasks on the battlefield in the wrong order, you're not going to win. If you do steps in the wrong order in math, you're not going to get the solution. In algebra, you must follow an ordered set of actions to solve for x. And one step cannot be done without doing the prior calculations. The same is true here. It's very important to order your steps and then complete them in that order. Consider this step your Boots camp, a battle plan for accomplishing things in a certain order so the magic happens. Each step may take a bit of time, and there will be days when you feel as if nothing has transpired and you've seen absolutely no change. There's lag time while you're completing small tasks, organizing, setting things up, or whatever your steps may be. If you're trying to lose weight, you may think, I've been working on this diet for a month now. Why can't I get into these size 2 jeans? What the hell? Then, all of a sudden, if you're really clear on the goal and you're following the path with your order of operations, all the lag time catches up, you reach equilibrium between effort and results, and then boom, you're going downhill. It gets easier. You start to see results at a rapid pace. there's less to do, less chaos and stress, and you have some free time. As you get started figuring out the order of operations, it's important to know that everything is not going to happen on the very first day you apply it. It took you a while to get into the mess, so it may take time to get out. Once you start to follow the order of operations and you do the work, however, the universal law of momentum takes over and most people arrive at their desired outcome ahead of the expected time. Now, you're ready to write out important strategy steps that will help you, slowly at first, start taking small action steps each day toward your desired new outcome. And after you complete this strategy session, you will start on the journey to designing the life you choose. T is for thinking. The fourth step of the Boots formula is thinking. If you recall your thinking at the most successful points in your life, it's probably vastly different from your thinking when a crisis brings you to a rock-bottom situation. Often, at the toughest times, our thinking goes to survival. We lose sight of the possibilities and opportunities that are before us. This is where thinking comes into play. It's vital to have a strong mindset in order to keep our boots on and walk out of a rough spot in life. Thinking leads you to a clear vision of where you want to go on that map of your desired outcome. You've made the decision that you're going to New York. Your bags are packed, you have an idea of how you're going to get there. You know the steps you need to take, though you may not know how the hell you're going to take them all, but you've made up your mind. That's where you're going. Tony Robbins often says, it's in the moment of decision that one's destiny is shaped. That decision is the thought that comes before the action steps required to reach your new goal. Everything happens in this step, in that decision. You can see it, feel it, embody it. Things start to show up because you're looking for them and you're open to them. You'll start getting the results you want just because that decision is in your mind. It becomes that real to you. Once you have that clear vision in your mind, you have to see yourself as if you already are living in your desired reality. You're just doing the steps to get there. S is for stepping up. The fifth and final step of the Boots formula is a literal step, stepping up. You've gone through the first 4 steps. You've decided how you're going to show up. You have a picture of where you're going. You know the steps you need to take, and you've made the decision to actually do something. It would be nice if you could just sit, think, and meditate your desired outcome into being. But that's not the way it works. There is some validity to the idea of manifesting what you want, but at the same time, you have to believe enough to actually go out there and take the risk. You have to overcome your fear of giving your first presentation, making your first speech, or writing your first book. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to take those steps. S is for stepping up by taking the personal responsibility required for a real reboot. You need a guide to show you how we get through a situation like this, to give you resources and to help you get out of the emotional pea soup fog of dealing with a crisis and the resulting fallout. I've been there, and I'm here to help you. Out of the fog. If you weren't emotionally bound up in your situation, you would have more clarity. You would be able to see your best options for dealing with whatever comes up. If the version of yourself who has already walked through this rock bottom and come out the other end could go back in time and give you, the you right now, some advice, what would she say? Would she tell you to slow down, to stop rushing, that you don't have to have all the answers today? Would the future you recommend not making any major decisions without reviewing them first particularly while you're still in the fog? Would she tell you that normal is going to look different for a while, but that you will feel normal again? In case we haven't invented time travel by the time you read this book, I'm here to tell you all of the above. I developed the Boots formula to help you learn to make choices, have a life shift, and make great things happen based on your individual values and best life vision. A change is going to happen, and it's worth it. There is a stage where it feels like everyone in your life is picking at you. Life itself may seem like it's trying its best to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. All you hear is, "That's a stupid idea," and "That's never going to work," and "Who do you think you are?" One of the hardest things for people to do is to realign and possibly walk away from anything and anyone that conflicts with their value systems. But you are going to discover that power within yourself. Through the activities and examples in this book, you will discover your true north and will be able to easily do what is needed to move forward with your life. Anything that hurts you, that doesn't resonate for you, that fights against what you want and believe in, you are going to give it the boot. Once you have turned your rock bottom moment into a positive, beautiful life shift, you can live your life on your terms. Your life will probably look different, but you get to design it this time. You are taking your life back, and you are in charge, not anybody else. Sooner than you can imagine, you'll be in the career of your dreams or the relationship you always wanted. Because you are going to learn to develop healthy boundaries. Because you are going to do things differently along the way from here to there. You will begin to attract the people, the job, the place to live, all of the opportunities that align with who you are, your essence, your truth, not anybody else's or even society's expectations of the way you're supposed to be. Once you have accepted that you are in charge of living your life and you begin to embody living your truth, people are going to see you. They're going to be inspired by you. Then you're going to hear, "Hey, can you show me how you did that? I want to do it too." When you assess your peer group and up-level according to your life purpose and vision, and once you have created a life shift for yourself, whatever that looks like, your life is not just full, it's fulfilled. Not only do you get more and better sleep, you wake up feeling rested and happy. You know that you're doing what you need to do. Yes, sometimes your heart will call you to leave certain friends or family members in order to find a more aligned peer group. From what I've seen, however, the ones who leave always return to lead their family and friends to success. Because your friends are more in alignment with your beliefs and value system, they support you while also pushing you toward your personal best. Life still involves work, but as a whole, it feels far more effortless. But you don't have to wait for the right person, right job, or right investment opportunity to show up. You can start living now so that every moment as you go forward through the process of recovering from rock bottom and redesigning your life is one more step to being the best version of you, the one who came back.
And that is what my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation, is all about. It is now available on Audible and Amazon Books, as well as wherever fine books are sold. And there is a special if you go to my website, www.sheilamac.com, www.sheilamac.com. So grab a copy today, and in that book you will get 14 free gifts related to strategizing and redesigning life on your terms. To grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps,
The formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation, www.SheilaMac.com.